Hello, folks, and good morning. So, something weird that I noticed earlier. I was putting together a kind of like a background thing to talk about an FFT remake and stuff like that, and was making some AI teams in One Vision, and well, noticed something a little bit bizarre here. When going and setting everybody up for the multiplayer thing, usually it always will come up with simply just melee for all of the AIs. I almost never set anything to healer AI, because it rarely comes up, especially for some of these AI teams and whatever else, and bizarrely enough, this one decided to stay as healer instead of anything else. So, to give you a general idea here, like usually the way that I set this up, and why it might be, relevant to anything, is like usually I'll go and I'll set up the kind of infinite skills and all skills learn sheets and stuff like that, and I'll go over here and we'll go ahead and put together a team. So in this case, I was basically putting together like an FFT team and a triangle team, in One Vision. Figured what the hell, it's a fun little background thing to talk about. But when I go and I set their AIs, it's going to be like, we're going to go right here, we're going to set deploy 12 all the time. And it simply says AI in this one, but we go ahead and get the fight started, and it's going to show their different kind of AI tendencies. And for some reason, it will, like, I always thought that the melee mode was the only default that it had when we get into the multiplayer mode. So let's go ahead and interrupt it here real quick and take a quick peek. So if we take a look here, we see that, he's set to Vanguard, she's set to Rear Guard, all of that kind of thing. The only exception is over here, where Karate Doctor down here is going to be set up for Healer. Now, again, I know this probably has no implications on anything whatsoever aside from maybe some internal, logic as far as AI goes, but I found it kind of interesting that this is what ended up happening here. So we'll just go ahead and set up this team here again, see if it actually redoes the same thing. It's gonna feel real stupid if it was just some random glitch, but whatever. Because yeah, I've been doing this for years. I've never seen this come up, because again, usually you want to set everybody to something like Vanguard or whatever else in order to make sure that they all stick together. I almost never set them to healer, because the version that you set in the save file when they actually go into this whole thing, as in what the player side would use when going into the versus mode, that is going to be separate from what the multiplayer version's AI is set to over here. So, like, we set this guy to... Oh, whoops, didn't mean to take him off of there. But we go over here, we go set their AI, and, like, let's say we go ahead and set this guy to Vanguard, we set this guy to Melee, that kind of thing. And again, you have to go and set these guys twice if you want them both to immediately be able to start their usual, like, getting into a fight together. Because again, the player side is not usually set to AI, it's obviously set to the player side, because this is not officially like a team versus team AI fighting mode, even though it realistically probably should have been. Instead, it is, it's essentially a... what am I saying here? It's essentially just a challenge mode, as it were. You make a challenge team, and then you, as the player, go fight the challenge team, but it's more fun to have the AI fight itself, so to speak. Anyway, so I just thought this was interesting. I don't know why it does this exactly. It's kind of weirdly specific, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, future video on FFT remake theory is coming up at some point. I just thought this was a weirdly specific, interesting nonsense thing to see, Which, by the way, for anyone curious, whether there's other... Let's see. We'll just go ahead and replace these guys. If anyone's curious to see what kind of other modes were available in the AI mode back in the PSP version, I basically just picked a map for whatever your team was. It had a lot of... fairly standard maps, and then for every one of your units you had 8 slots for, like, here's a trigger for, like, oh, I got, like, poisoned or something, and then they had a customizable response that they could do, like, ow or whatever. Just kind of put whatever in here, and then yeah, you can just do this for every one of your units to just have 8 callouts somewhere in the middle of the fight. It's a fun little mode. It's a bit of a shame that it didn't make the transition to Reborn, but realistically the stuff is so, like, it's really cool how far they took it, but it's also kind of really dumb. But either way, I always kind of, loved this this particular feature being in here, even though nobody frickin' used it. And it's honestly just a bit of a wonderful thing that it works with the One Vision mod as well as it does. And for those curious, by the way, if you ever wondered, because I don't know if I'm ever going to do a multiplayer mode, oddly specific stuff video, but if you ever wondered whether these points over here really indicate anything, yeah, when it says attack skills and spells of all units on the challenge party, that is exclusively all that it counts, meaning that in a lot of cases that score means absolutely nothing. It's funny because the actual balance, like combat balance wise, wasn't terrible in the vanilla PSP version, but you basically had this moment where in the mid game where everybody ended the game, no balance whatsoever. Max out everybody's skills, stats, and whatever else, frickin' impeccable balance. It's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, in One Vision, you can't max out everybody. Everybody has to be in like their store-bought versions, and then basically you kind of just got to let the skills level up on the fly. Otherwise, it just leads to some people curb stomping. It's a whole thing. Anyway, that'll be that. I just wanted to talk about the AI for a second. I just found it really weird that for some reason the healer AI decided to stick around. I have no theories as to why exactly that might be the case. Why it matters, or any of that. I just thought it was kind of neat. So, I guess that'll be that then. Y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care, and I will see y'all in the next one. Which, yeah, will be about FFT remake stuff. And then also there's a way longer project, which hopefully will be done by next week, but we'll see.